Welcome to the Employee to Boss podcast, a podcast for everyone with an entrepreneurial spirit. Every week, I am joined by successful guests in all different industries and stages of business who will share what their experience was like transitioning from employee to boss. This is a resource for you if you're wanting to start a business, go all in on your side hustle, get to the next level in your thriving business, or just hear what it's like taking the leap to becoming your own boss. I'm your host, Haley Hayhurst, the owner of Espresso Podcast Production, a full-service podcast production agency specializing in editing, marketing, and strategy. Let's dive into today's topic. Hey, Katrina, thank you so much for joining me on the Employee to Boss podcast. It's so great to connect with you.
Thanks, Haley. Nice to be here.
Yeah, so we were just chatting. You are in Northern California and help entrepreneurs with their self-book publishing, which I've never talked to anyone who is a book publisher before. Of course, I've talked to people with books, and I think we look at them and get really excited, like, oh, is that something I want to do one day? But then when it comes to actually making it happen, there's a lot of questions. So before we get into any of that, why don't you tell us your journey from employee to boss?
Yeah. Well, I've been in sales all my life, but when I was 16 and in sales and been in retail and customer service and all that. And one of my last jobs was advertising sales for the local newspaper. And that was when people were still reading newspapers and back in 2000 or 1999 or whatnot. And my heart broke for these business owners because a lot of them were just throwing money at random advertising opportunities and weren't seeing the ROI. And so I didn't just take their money. I would be like, no, you're not just putting your business card in the newspaper. We're going to do this, and this is what's going to get you business. And when they come in, then you do this. And so I would consult with them more. And so I just fell in love with the entrepreneur, that had such passion. Mm-hmm. And that's when I jumped into my own business, helping entrepreneurs fill in all those holes that they just don't know about how to run a successful business. They know their craft or their product, but they don't usually know how to run a successful business. Yeah. So that's when I jumped in 23 years ago. It was, and I haven't looked back since.
Yeah. What's difference between your business 23 years ago and today?
Well, the obvious difference is more people are looking at websites and the internet and social media. There was no social media. We barely had a website back then. It was pretty much just go networking in your local area. There was no getting clients all over the world that I knew about how to do then. So it is completely different. I mean, we have AI now. I mean, we didn't have anything. I feel like I was in the dinosaur age compared to like what we're at now in business. But it was, in a way, it was easier because people actually got your email. There wasn't spam filters. People would read stuff. People would react to, when they met you, they would just instantly trust you because they haven't been burned by a whole bunch of online crappy, scammers. So it was easier.
It's a different world. It was a different time. Totally. Oh my gosh. No, that's so interesting. I mean, I graduated college in 2019 and there was like already social media in the game, but I love talking to business owners who have been doing this for longer because I think seeing those transitions, and even with AI now, like we have to get on board with this, right? Like this is something that we have to learn to understand and all of those things. So I love hearing that story from employee to boss. I think that's really, really cool. When did you get into book publishing? Was it like you wanted to publish your own book, or what was the inspiration behind that?
Yeah, so it's funny because I never wanted to write a book when I started my business. I thought, why do I want to sell a $15 or $20 thing when I can sell a $200 thing, a $2,000 thing, or a $20,000 thing? And then it wasn't until I saw my friends like getting on more stages as a speaker because I was speaking, and I'm like, or they'd get on TV with publicity because they had a book or whatever. There wasn't a lot of really podcasts then, but we had interviews, and it was more about getting publicity on TV or in a newspaper or a magazine or something. And I'm like, okay, use it as a marketing tool. Now I get it. But I have to run my business and make money right now, because as you're building a business, first 3 to 5 years of your business, usually the cash flow is not that consistent, right? So, and we need to pay our bills. And if you have a mortgage, you need to pay your mortgage. So I didn't have time to write a book because everybody thinks it takes so long, and it can, but it can be faster these days. I'm just going to
Yes.
throw that out. But no, I never really wanted to write a book. But then so the first thing I did was to write a chapter in a compilation book. So I didn't know that you could do that. And it was kind of a new thing 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Uh, but that's where I started, as I wrote a chapter in actually 3 different compilation books before I wrote my own book.
That's cool. Did you always, when you started to think of writing the first chapter in that compilation book, which I actually have a lot of clients that have done that before, they've been in like those group books and like love it because it's multiple people promoting
Yeah.
one book, right? So it's easier to get
Yes.
more eyes on it.
Collaborative
Yeah.
opportunity, easier to promote, easier to
Yeah.
get a bestseller now on Amazon because you have multiple people, for sure.
Yeah. No, I love that. So when you started thinking about writing the chapter, did you have a writing background?
Well, I'm a talker. I'm a speaker. So really you just have to record yourself, right?
Yeah.
And you have content. But yes, I did. I was really good at writing articles. So I'd write in my email newsletters and I'd write blog posts back then. So I had a ton of content. I'm like, a chapter is like a long blog post, no big deal. So yes, I was really good at writing and speaking. Writing a book is a lot more because it's
Yeah.
a lot of words, but a chapter is like 1,500 to 2,000 words.
Mm.
So it can be a lot simpler.
Okay, I want to get back to that, but I want to talk about the like for someone who wants to write a book and they
Yeah.
have all these different ideas. Like, how do you get clear on what you want to write it about? Is it first knowing like what the goal is?
Yeah.
And even then, I mean, that could be different. I have a million questions. So, how do you set the goals too?
Yeah. Yeah. Number one is please know why you want to write the book. Okay. So, and know that if you do want to write a book, more than likely you're going to have more than one. Okay. So get it out of your head that you have to put everything you know or want to say into one book. It's better to have a bunch of smaller books that are more topic based than put everything into one book.
Hmm.
So just think about it that way. Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
That makes sense. That makes
Yeah.
sense. So, I mean, as entrepreneurs, let's say I wanted to write a book about podcasting.
Yeah.
What would be your advice to me for first steps into creating a book to be self-published?
Well, more than likely, you already have the content for that because you run a program, right? So you run a program about helping people start their own podcast. And what I did back in 2018 was I took my Jumpstart Your Business in 90 Days program and I made it into a book. So it
Mm.
was a recorded program that I did 8 different times live with other people. And it was $4,000 when I did it live, $2,000 when I sold it as a DIY, right? And then I took the content and put it into a $20 book. So literally, you can get all of that into one book. So you can reverse engineer, design your book.
Yeah.
So that's like what I call your system book. And then, so that's sometimes it's the easiest book to write if you already have a program.
Okay.
Okay. And you can weave in your stories and things like that, like we're doing here. Other people want to write their story, or they have a mission or a movement or a Me Too kind of a story that they want to get out and help other people with. So you write your story book, right? So this was the book I actually wrote first because I wanted to share more about. I was talking a lot about how to get more love in your life and money in your business. And so I talked about love and money in your relationships, and because I had a divorce and all these things, and I had to love myself in order to keep going and have faith to move on and take all the steps I needed to take to make the money in my business, etc. So like that was my storybook, and it weaved in some lessons, but then I had the system book that came out later because the story was the one that called to me to get out first. Does that make
Okay.
sense? So whichever one is calling to you to get out first is that's the one you should do, because you will get it out faster than
Yeah.
if you put it off.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. I think that that is like a very approachable way to writing a book. And I think it could be so intimidating to think about all the ideas that you have and put it into one place. So I
Yeah.
like that, breaking up into multiple and
Yeah.
totally. And so then once you write it, you go the self publishing route. Tell us more about self publishing, why you decided that versus traditional publishing.
Well, traditional publishing is for celebrities. So, unless you are a celebrity or someone in the news or someone that has 50 to 100,000 followers, or, like, come on, it's not easy to get a traditional publishing gig. I will just tell you right now. Is it impossible? No, of course not. Nothing's impossible, but it is faster and much easier to just self-publish, so that you can, especially if your goal is to build your business. So if your
Mm,
goal is to build your business and get clients, then you write the book that is going to help people trust, like, and connect with you, and then want to buy your other things. If your goal is to be a fiction author, like, Stephen King or J.R. Tolkien or whoever, then that's different. And that might be a traditional publisher's route. But I usually work with nonfiction authors that have a business, and we want to, write the book to help the business grow. So
yeah,
again, that's why.
that
And
makes
that's,
sense.
mhm.
Yeah, that makes sense. One thing with self-publishing that I know is like all of the marketing then lies on you. So thinking about this being a business asset, what approaches do you take?
Yeah. So because I'm a business and marketing and sales coach first, and
Yeah.
a book publisher second, I weave all of that in with my clients. Many book publishers or people that help you publish or write books do not have that background, and therefore they don't always think about the marketing end of it all or the sales end of it all. They might show you how to put a web page together or a payment button on your website, or maybe write a press release for you, but that's not enough. You have to really have the plan on how it's going to be the lead generator into your programs, products, and offerings. And so there's a whole host of things that you want to have to flow together. As before you even write the book, there's certain things you want to put in the book and weave in the book in order to make people want to come to your website and get on your email list. Right? Because if they buy it on Amazon, or someone say, you give me this book and say, oh, it's a good book, you should read it. And I'm like, okay, well, I didn't buy it. So I don't have any relationship with the owner. And so unless the book is telling me to go to somewhere to download stuff, I would have no reason to do that.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. That makes sense. That makes sense. What, when you help your clients launch a book, out to the world, like they write it, then it's out there, what counts as like a successful book launch in your eyes for a business owner, self-publishing?
Well, most of my clients want to be a number one international best-selling author, with the they want that badge on their book. They want to be a number one international best-selling author, and you can do that on Amazon. I have many different books that have done that. It's Some people don't care about that.
Mhm.
Most people do still today, even though we know that, it just takes a whole bunch of people to buy the book on one day to be a bestseller. And then poof, you're not a bestseller anymore, like 4 days later, right? We know that's how it works, but still, it's still quite a feat to make this happen. So if that is your goal, I show you how to do that, and how to build your supporter list and how to do all the things. And plus, if I'm helping to publish a book, then I promote it too. And I have a lot of followers who will buy my clients' books, right?
Okay.
So that's another thing, is whoever's helping you with the book, do they have a following? Are they good at marketing? Are they going to make sure you get to that best-selling campaign? Otherwise, I would say most people do want to get clients from their book. So they want people to read the book and go, oh, she's pretty smart, I want to go hire her, right? And for their thing.
Yeah, totally. And I know you mentioned having them be sent somewhere else after they read the book. Like, where is that?
Well, their website, right? So a book
Okay.
is a business. So I do have authors that don't like, I have one author that's an insurance agent, right? So she has this parent company, doesn't really have her own website. And so we created a website for her, just a small website, right? So she could have like a bio page and reviews of the book and sell the book as well. So it can be something very small and doesn't have to cost a lot of money to set up, but you got to treat the book as a business model, right?
Yeah.
So most of us who are already business owners have a website. And so we can put it into our website and into our funnels or whatever in our lead gen process. If you're not, it's okay, but you want to treat it as a business. Otherwise, it's just going to sit there on Amazon or the box of books is just going to sit there in your garage and they're not going to go anywhere because you don't have a plan for marketing and selling.
Should every business have a book?
I think it depends. You don't have to. Like a dog walking person, I mean, like, do they really need a book? Probably not, but they could. If they're doing a lot of marketing and they have a huge visibility on social and they have a book, then maybe I want to hire that person that has, a lot of knowledge about dogs and things like that rather than just some random person who doesn't. Right. So, realtors, the same thing. There's my husband and he's in the real estate industry, right? We know like 50 realtors. How do you pick which realtor to use? Well, the one with the book about how to do whatever with the house that, you know what I mean? Like how to find the right house for the right price or that kind of thing. So, I mean, it's obvious with coaches, consultants, speakers, and things like that. But some of these other businesses, it's not as obvious, but why not? And or why not write a chapter in a compilation book where you go in with other people, right? This book has, 9 authors and stepping into gratitude. And so they all talked about their experience with gratitude and how they step into it and what they do in their practices. So there's all kinds of things you could write about. It's just, yeah.
For those books with multiple authors, how do people find those opportunities?
Oh my God, they're everywhere, really. But I know of at least 4 or 5 going on right now. They're looking for authors. I'm looking for authors in a book called The Power of Connection that's going to be launching in 2026. I have a client who's looking for authors right now on a leadership book.
Yeah.
I know there's a couple other, I don't know them off the top of my head, but I keep track of those. And those of us in the publishing world usually know who's doing those kinds of, and Six Figure Chicks. There's this book I was in and I published, Six Figure Chick, with my friend Mel, and she's on her like 6th or 7th book now of the same name, just multiple cities. So she's going by city now, Phoenix and Houston, and doing books with Six Figure Chicks.
Yeah.
So yeah.
That's really cool. I remember years and years ago, someone reached out to me to put a chapter in a book. And at that point, I was still figuring out my business. This was maybe like my first year in business where you're trying to figure out like directions and clients, and you don't necessarily have all that data yet. So it wasn't the right time for me. But I do remember that there was a cost with it. So when you're thinking about doing this, I would think of it being like a marketing cost, like it would go towards your marketing budget.
It is, definitely.
But what can people expect, like price range wise for this? And what is like maybe some client examples of when it pays out for them?
Sure. Well, they're kind of all over the board, but most of them will charge authors somewhere between $1,500 and say $3,000 usually. So I've seen some that are higher that include other things like publicity and things like that too. I've seen some that are a lot lower, but they don't give you any books. And like I was in this one, it was only a little bit of an investment, but I only got one book. And so I didn't really do anything with it because I have one book. And so it kind of went and then it died, right? Okay. And so if you, like, she is doing a movement. So she's having live events and photo shoots for her authors, and she's doing publicity, and she's doing a philanthropy event, and she's doing give backs to nonprofits. So, I mean, she's got a huge movement going, right? And so it just depends on what book you get into. I mean, this was the first book that I ever wrote a chapter in Power and Soul. It was by Allie Brown. Allie Brown was like she was like the big OG of, coaching. This was back in 2006. Okay. My very first book that I wrote a chapter in. And you don't have to know your system to write a chapter. My chapter is called It'll All Work Out in the End. And so it was about having faith and leaping out of my marriage and into my own, space and my own house and my own business. And so it's weird because I wrote it, but then 9, 10 years later, I didn't realize that was my motto. The whole, like, that's been my motto for 23 years. It'll all work out in the end. Just trust. It'll all work out in the end. And I wrote it in a book in 2006 and didn't even think about it. But became my motto. And so you just never know. Like, you don't have to I didn't have my Love and Money system. I didn't have my Jumpstart system. Then I didn't have any publishing. I didn't have any of that in 2006. So, but there was something that I could write about. It's just, again, you can write about, and then I wrote another chapter in a book about social media. Like, that was probably like 10 years ago. Right. And it's changed dramatically since then. But I wrote about a chapter in social media. It was just one little thing that I was teaching clients at the time. And that was it. So you don't have to have the perfect, people, they worry too much. Yeah. So they range, but usually you get a stack of books. And when you work with me and my compilation books and my clients who have compilation books, we do coaching calls and we talk about how to write and how to weave in the right things and what to put on the website and how to market and do all the things. So a lot is included. It's like a coaching program where you're in a book. That can be a great opportunity.
That is really, really cool. Okay, yeah. I love that. Thanks for answering all my book pub questions. I think that's something, I think a lot of people in the new year do put on their vision boards like, oh, write a book. And I think there are really cool opportunities, just like what you just shared, where people can step into that maybe before they decide if they want to write the whole thing. So I appreciate you sharing that. I'm curious if you want to tell us about Jumpstart Events.
Yeah. So Jumpstart Events is just an easy place to find all the things that I have coming up. So if I have author calls, sometimes I have like free coffee chats on Zoom. I do have an event coming up in February called Level Up Live. And so it's in person. It's like a workshop on all the things, sales, marketing, speaking, and all that kind of stuff. So it's just the easiest place to get to see, what's happening.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. I think that, over the past 23 years, what has like the biggest evolution in your business been?
Evolution. Well, I've changed brands a couple times, don't we all? I mean, you're gonna in that time period. So that's probably the biggest thing. I would say also too that, when I first started, I kind of felt a little like I was wearing a mask. You've probably heard people say that. Yeah. And they don't want to let people in, or you don't want to share too many vulnerable things. And it wasn't really as cool to share vulnerably back then as it is now. People are sharing really vulnerable things. I mean, like all over, right? For millions of people to see. So I think I've changed a lot in that regard, done a complete 180, maybe more, as far as being more open, vulnerable, and authentic. I mean, I was always authentic. I always say what's on my mind.
Yeah.
Sometimes too much, but yeah, I've opened up a lot more to see behind the curtains than when I first started.
Okay. That's very interesting. When it comes to AI, what role is AI playing in the self-publishing world?
Well, it's fine to get some ideas and maybe have AI evaluate, all your programs, products, and services, even evaluate your website to brainstorm ideas on what kind of book might be good to start. But I definitely do not recommend having AI write your book. Do not do that, because The Amazon doesn't like it. The systems don't. I mean, nobody in the publishing world likes an AI written book.
Yeah.
So
There's
getting,
lawsuits now. I've seen
yeah, I would
quite a few lawsuits.
highly recommend not doing that. Now, if you need to brainstorm, like I said, the chapter list or the list of topics or something, great. And then just go write about them. Right. So that's how I would use
Okay.
AI at this stage,
That makes sense.
in writing
Yeah.
about it.
A
Mhm.
few months ago, I was at an event and someone gave me their book and they were very excited about it. And I opened it and I was reading it and it was clearly written by AI.
Yeah. That's why they gave it for free, probably.
Yeah. I was like, huh, if I can, I mean, the thing is, like, I'm in this business world all day. I know when something, not always, but I can tell when something is completely written by AI with like, the lines they put, the
I
end dashes now, the bullet points, the way they structure things.
know.
So it was very interesting. I was like, I think that like people want books to build credibility. And if
Yeah.
the book is AI written, it kind of takes that away.
It does. It actually sabotages you. It
Yeah.
does the opposite, I think, in my opinion. Just share your opinions. Somebody can clean up your writing. One of the big objections I get is like, I'm not a writer. I write like crap. I can't write. La 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 la. Stop it. Just then talk it out. I'm sure you can put sentences together, talk it out, record it,
Yeah.
transcribe it, and then we'll get an editor to clean it up and it'll look amazing, like you're a top writer. You
Yeah.
don't have to worry about that these days because
Yeah.
you're gonna get an editor. Do not publish a book without an editor or someone looking at that. Please do not do that.
No, that's a really good point. I say the same thing about podcasting. People tell me all the time, like, oh, I don't want to start a podcast. I don't know what I'll talk about. I don't know. Like, I'm not a good speaker. And I'm like, that is why I am here, to make you sound good. Because I'm telling you, no one knows what the first version of a podcast episode sounds like. Even the most popular podcasts, they're all edited,
Yeah,
especially them. They're all edited. So I agree with that. Editing fixes a lot of things.
it does. It does. I used to run a radio show on Blog Talk before video podcasting was a thing.
Yeah.
For 4 years, I did a weekly radio show. And it would have been fun to have it on video, actually, but it just wasn't a thing. And boy, that was just tedious. And yeah, when your guests didn't show up because they didn't have all the reminder systems that they do now with the calendars and stuff. And when your guests didn't show up, you better have a blog post ready or something,
Yeah.
piece of content handy so you could start talking about it.
Have something there. Totally. No, that's really cool. I know. I thought I was going to go into radio or TV when I first got out of college, but
Yeah.
I'm on my way to podcasting and absolutely love it. But I appreciate everything you shared today. Yes, I had a lot of questions. I think it's a really cool industry that is growing, right? And more people I see are self-publishing books. And I think to your point of figuring out why you're writing it is important, because sometimes I'll see people write books. I'm like, I wonder why they did that. And sometimes they have a great answer. Sometimes it's just for, to make money, which I know books don't always make the most amount of money, right? So it makes sense to send them over to another place to get clients. So I appreciate you sharing all of that today. I'm curious, before we wrap up and get into your action steps for the week, do you have anything else that you want to share?
Well, I would say that if you're thinking about writing a book, like I said before, it's if you're not paying your bills at the moment and money is tight, it's probably not the time to go off for 30 hours a week writing your book. Okay. So go make money, go market and sell, go build your business, maybe pick a compilation book to write a chapter in so you can at least have some momentum and multiple books. I have 22 books now. So because I've been in a lot of compilation books. So yeah, you can start somewhere, but be careful. I have people that come to me that want to write a book and it's like, well, they can't afford this and they can't afford a cover designer. I mean, covers are only $400. So it's not that much money, but you gotta be making some money,
Yeah,
or know how to get it going. Yeah.
totally. I appreciate you sharing that. Yeah, there is an investment to it, but there's also, as you're saying, a great payoff. So
Yeah.
I love that. So, Katrina, every week I ask the guest to share 3 action steps for the audience to take based on this conversation. That's because, when we're first starting our businesses or growing, we take in all this information. We listen to podcasts, we read books, we take courses, we download endless freebies. And sometimes we don't take action from it. We just keep consuming it. So I want people to take action after listening to you talk. What are 3 ways that they can take action this week to move forward with what we talked about?
Yeah. Well, if you really do want to write a book and you're overwhelmed with what you're already doing, well, unsubscribe from stuff and stop looking at all these other things and, don't waste time in the wrong place. Like, get your order of importance in order first. Okay. What's your order of importance in your business, your life, all that? You got to say no to some things. So that's number 1. Number 2 is maybe go out into nature, take a walk, and really think about, like, what could a book do for you? If you knew how to do it, how to monetize it, how to leverage it, because that's not all just going to drop into your head. You're not going to come up with all those ideas. That's what we're for, to show you exactly the faster and more affordable way to do the book. So get the momentum and find out if you're even interested in writing a book and what could it do for you, right? And then the third thing is, okay, well then go like journal down or ChatGPT some ideas and what would be the best way to start. Don't come with 3 ideas for 3 different books, please. Pick one, because you're not going to write 3 books at one time. You're going to write one at a time. And if none of that feels good, then just, come and talk to me about the compilation books and I'll tell you which ones you can be in, and you'll be done in like an hour and a half and that'll be it. So.
Okay. I love that. Thank you so much. Those are great steps. Where can people find you?
Well, for this stuff, you want to go to jumpstartpublishing.net. Jumpstartpublishing.net would be the site. And there's some free stuff there. You can access the marketing and a webinar and all that. So
cool. I'll put that in the show notes, and I hope people come and connect with you and get those, chapters in the books or their own book. That's really exciting. Thank you so much. Thank you for listening to the Employee to Boss podcast. If you made it to the end of this episode, I hope that you implement the actionable steps from this week's experts so you can get started with your business today. Please rate, review, and subscribe to the Employee to Boss podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, or wherever you listen to your podcasts. It helps more than you could ever imagine. Remember, a little progress each day leads to big results. We come out with a new episode every Tuesday. To access our show notes, transcripts, and courses, please check out espressopodcastproduction.com.